Throw it down.
But you gotta be louder.
Throw it down.
Louder.
Throw it down.
Hey, what's up y'all? I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thanks for coming back for yet another week. So I realize that most of the country is in the throes of winter, but I've got plenty of tips on board here as far as updates of what's going on and hopefully some encouragement to get your strategy rolling, at least in your mind, for the 2020 season. And for those of you that are down here in Florida and other parts far south, your grass is probably still growing like mine, and because of that, we actually have some weeds, some disease, all kinds of things going on. So I'm gonna take a little walk and talk around the neighborhood today and identify some weeds and other things that I see to help you guys that are still out enjoying the mow. So here, let me show you what I'm doing real quick. Foxtail palms are actually considered to be self-pruners, and what that means is the fronds, the old fronds fall off on their own, and you can see an example of that here, where this one just kind of fell off on its own, and that's what these rings are. Every one of these is a frond that's come off, and you know, you can kind of consider them growth rings, and you can see this one here. See how it split on its own and came off? But sometimes they need a little help, as you can see, but you definitely don't want to pull them off early. You want to let them self-prune. However, in this case over here, this one is not coming off because of the fact that this frond has been so damaged by scale insects. It's not heavy enough anymore to self-prune. It's not heavy enough to fall off. So in that case, what I do is I come in here with my knife and I score right around here where the rings should be. And that's why I actually had this made custom for this. It's got a little serration on it there. And I cut right through here, and that way I kind of help it. And then I come along the back here and I continue with that scoring, as you can see. And then right here I'm going to cut it right, you can see it's already split right here for you, so I'm just going to take it right down here and just help relieve some of that pressure. There we go. Yeah, see, this one's probably not ready to come off. It's still pretty green, but I need to get this out of here because number one, this is dead, but look at all the scale on it, and I don't want that to spread any more than it already has. All that white stuff, that's scale. Real bad. Okay, now the other thing I figured I'd do is give you an update on the large patch fungus that I had here, because as you guys know, I was treating that. I'll put a link in the description below. It's almost completely cleared up now, but when we take our little walk and talk later, you're gonna see quite a few lawns that are still infested with it because they haven't been treated. So I don't even know if you can tell. I can kind of see the spots where it was a little bit right in there and a little bit up there, but for the most part, you can't even see it anymore. Let's see if I get right over top of it. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's hard to tell. Last fertilizer that was done here was Milo right after Christmas. So color's holding, and then before that, Sunnyland Weed and Feed with the atrazine in it. Color's holding very strong, but disease is almost all cleared up. It just shows when you treat it and you take care of it, you can get through it. Now, I'm not out of the woods yet. Undoubtedly, there's still some here in the soil, you know, hanging around in the thatch layer or wherever. So I'm gonna have to watch this next year, but I definitely have it under control now. And we had a cold snap for a couple days that definitely shut everything else off. Here's the other section, and it is clearing up too. It's in the shade right now, so it's hard to tell. It's not clearing up quite as fast, but it's definitely clearing up. Hey, and look at this, we got our first weed ID candidate. Remember, Parkways, I only treat with humic acid. I don't put any fertilizer on these, but we do need to do a weed spray. So this is our first weed here in Florida, and you're only gonna find this in Central Florida and South. I don't think this one gets too much further north than I-4. You guys let me know. But this is called Tassel Flower, and it's actually pretty. I really like the pink magenta color there, but it is a weed. And the easiest way to get rid of Tassel Flower is like this. Look at those roots, John Perry. All right, here's another thing I wanted to point out. I don't know if this is gonna show up on camera or not. This is my backyard Pro Vista St. Augustine grass. And it really gets ignored when it comes to fertilizer. It gets ignored when it comes to mowing too. Because it grows so slow, I never have to come back here to mow it, and I also never come back here to fertilize it. It's really, really bad. I think last year I only gave it a couple laps and they were liquid. It always looks good, but this year I'm gonna definitely take more time to work on it and keep it nice and green. But I wanted to show you something that I noticed. So it did get some injury, and I want to show this to you guys too, because any St. Augustine can get this, but I'm going to show you that only my Pro Vista did. But this is cold injury right here, this reddish purplish color that you see, and sometimes it'll manifest as yellow, but when you see that, that's from the cold zap. We got into the low 40s here at night for a couple of nights. We called that our 3-day Florida winter, and St. Augustine grass does not like that cold temperatures. What you're going to see though is the areas that are damaged are the areas that were outside and sticking above the canopy. See that? See the green on the bottom? That's because that was inside the canopy and kept warm and toasty next to its brothers and sisters. But anything that was sticking up high got zapped by the cold and turned that red purple color. Now there's nothing to worry about with this. You just cut it and the red tips will fall off and it'll grow back on its own, no big deal. However, the reason I pointed out that I'd never feed this or put fertilizer on it is because I've got some Pro Vista in the front yard that did not get any of this red tip damage, and I think it's because I keep it fertilized really well. Now, I understand that I'm by the lake back here, so maybe it gets a little chillier back here, a little colder, but I don't think that's what it is. I really think it has to do with the fact that I don't fertilize this, and in the front I do. So this Pro Vista here, you won't see any of those red tips, and this is well fertilized. This was hit with Milo, it's been hit with the Sunnyland, all the same stuff that my front lawn has, and none of those tips. And what I believe that's telling me is that when you keep a good, proper nutrient load in your plant, it can resist stress better. And in this case, the stress it's resisting is the stress of cold weather. You'll also see a whole lot of Bermuda invading here. But we got something for that because this is Pro Vista. I can wipe this out with glyphosate, so maybe in a future video. Now right here, this is Palmetto St. Augustine grass. It's different too. It's like a dicot versus a monocot or something. I'm not quite that proficient on it. It's something I need to study, but either way, Palmetto St. Augustine grass is definitely more cold tolerant. So that's what most of you probably up into Texas and in the panhandle of Florida and all in between there, if you have St. Aug, it's probably Palmetto or one of the more cold tolerant varieties. But the reason I came over here to the Palmetto is because a lot of you all will think that St. Augustine grass doesn't feel good under your feet, that it's crunchy. And when you compare it to KBG, of course, it's not even close. Not close to fescue either. That's just because it's a stoloniferous grass and you're stepping on those big fat stolons and you feel that. But I will say that when I have a proper nutrient load, and I'm mainly talking about nitrogen, my grass is much softer and feels much better on my feet. Even this over here, which is Floritam, which is notoriously a crunchy grass, when it's well fertilized, it's not so bad. Of course, I don't know, I might be stepping on a lot of this common Bermuda in here too, which is very soft and leggy. Point being, and this works for all grass types, when you have a proper nutrient load, healthy soil, when the grass has everything it needs, it's gonna feel softer, it's gonna feel more pliable, and it's gonna be able to resist any outside pressure a lot easier and a lot better, and recover faster if it does succumb to the pressure. Just think about humans. If you're low on certain vitamins, you can actually end up getting diseases because of that. That's why you have to have a balanced diet, and if you have a balanced diet and you're eating healthy, it'll help you resist all future problems, including sickness and disease. Truth be told though, if we want to talk about barefoot warm season turf, I have to mention the zoysia. Zoysia feels really, really, really good under your feet. Real quick, here is an update on the sticker board. If you sent me stickers in the last 2 weeks or so, I just got back from a conference and I have now put all these up and then returned stickers to you guys. So those should be coming in the mail to you sometime in the next week or so. Little Rhizoctonia action over by there. Hey y'all, so I wanted to interrupt this real quick. I actually got carried away editing that montage and I realized that it kind of makes it look like, by the way, that's the Pest and Lawn Ginja. I know he shaved his beard, but that's him. Really, for real, he was here. And I think the way that we filmed that and edited that, it's coming off like I'm giving him a tip, like he needs me to tip him or he's a bum on the street. I don't know. What happened was he was here for business and we got some time to hang out and we were gonna do some collabs. We actually had a couple different things lined up that we wanted to do, but we ended up just kind of hanging out and talking shop and we didn't get to shoot as much footage as we wanted to. And so at one point I was like, dude, let's just do this real quick. And I was like, why don't you just act like a bum on the side of the street? There was like this broke like shed shack on the beach, this beach shanty. I was like sitting, I don't know, either way, it is what it is. I didn't mean it to come off looking that way, but for sure, just know Jared and I have some fun things planned for this year coming up for the 2020 season that I know you guys are gonna love. Here's some more of the large patch, and you can tell it's not the orangey yellow color, so that means it's stopped, and that's from the cold, but there's the remaining damage is there, so we'll have to just see how long it'll take that damage to recover, but you can see it all up through there. Okay, what you're seeing here is more than just edging domination. The reason I stopped here was to illustrate the growth pattern of St. Augustine grass. See how it's literally spilling out of the lawn and into the street? That's because St. Augustine grass spreads and takes ground via stolons, and you can see them here. They creep out, and every couple of inches there's a new node, and each node will root in and also push up new grass blades. St. Augustine is stoloniferous and aggressive, and this is how it takes ground. It's important to understand the growth habit of your particular grass type, especially if you're undertaking a more advanced strategy. There are things you can do to accentuate the positives of your grass type and other things you can do to help mask some of its weaknesses. I recently had a podcast segment where I talked about different grass types and their growth habits. I'll link that in the description below if you're interested in exploring the growth habit of all different grass types, cool season and warm season. So this is not large patch. What this is signal grass that has been damaged by the cold. So there is St. Augustine here, but a lot of this is signal grass. I've got some in my lawn that's not damaged by cold, I'll show you, but look at that. So that's what that is. That's cold damage to signal grass. Lots of people here, that's another patch of it right there. Lots of people here confuse it. Well, first of all, they don't even know they have it because it does blend in fairly well with St. Augustine. But then when they do see it, they call it crabgrass because there is crabgrass that looks like that too. And a lot of times the two get confused. So here's the signal grass patch that's in my lawn, and the growth habit really does change when you mow it often. Here are some pictures I got from my friend Jeff Locuta that shows signal grass in a more mature state and uncut. And here are pictures of India crabgrass. Jeff is excellent at identifying the difference in the two, and I sent him pictures of what I have, and he did confirm that what I have here is indeed signal grass. So for the second year in a row, I had the honor of teaching marketing to the group at the Lawn Care Life Conference hosted by my friend Jason Creel. As you guys know, I don't usually talk to pros, but this is the one time a year when I get to mix and mingle with them and teach them a little something about marketing their businesses. It was also fun to meet one of my YouTube heroes, Keith Kalfas, and have a conversation with him and host Paul Jameson on the Green Industry Podcast. I'll link all that up in the description below.
Lastly, I wanted to introduce you to something new. I got to meet inventor and entrepreneur Robbie Hamilton. He's created an apparatus that goes on a string trimmer called Darwin's Grip. Essentially what it does is it helps you to string trim an edge standing upright instead of bending over. I could see how you tall folks could really benefit from this. I think it's really cool when somebody invents something to make an old tool better. I'll put a link in the description below to Darwin's Grip. I think it's really cool, and some of you guys might also be interested in it. With that, I'm going to close this video out and finish with pictures of the folks that I met at the conference last week. As always, I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the lawn.